Ever since I was a child, I was always curious about energy, not just in regards to electronics, but in regards to the energy that passes through one person to another. I could pick up on energetic exchanges as a child, and it's something that I left my world open to experiencing. And this has led me on an amazing journey of discovering and practicing many different healing modalities, not just for the sake of providing an amazing service, but I wanted to heal myself. A little background: at the age of 13, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. 21, I was told I was going to need back surgery. 28, I started having early onsets of Parkinson's, and I wanted to be able to move. I wanted to be able to feel, and I wanted to be in my body, because most of my life I never felt that way. And there were a lot of other things that were present in my life that added to the stress that contributed to those physical expressions, as I like to call it. And as I began my journey of healing, I realized that there were so many layers that were connected into the physical body, into the somatic experience. And somatic therapy basically is all about reawakening the body, because when your body undergoes fight or flight, it creates an amnesia. And when you start to awaken your body, you start to provide some type of somatic therapy or experiencing into your wellness routine, you begin to wake up that body and you can start to function more readily. And when I studied somatics, it was for a paper that I wrote on a possible natural supplementation and alternative to opioids. Drugs have been a big part of my story. I went to rehab when I was 18, but I also had a lot of friends who were affected by the opioid issue, crises, what have you. And it also affected my life due to my uncle, who was heavily addicted to drugs. So it's something that's been very poignant in my life, and it's something that led me on a journey of wanting to find balance, because when I was 18, I chose to be homeless because the life I was living was so toxic. But I was the one who was reacting to it in a way that wasn't acceptable on many different levels, and I get that. But what I found on my journey of healing was the revelation around how, if I had energy healing, a lot of this stuff I feel would have been avoided, or at least would have given me a tool to utilize on my healing journey, so I would have better results quicker and faster. Because what I found after I got out of rehab is I felt like I was like a hamster on a wheel. I was going a whole lot of places, nowhere fast. I found myself sliding back into old habits, and I knew that there was something deeper. I always believed that addiction was due to some emotional type of trauma. And as I went through my journey of healing the physical body, I found that, and when I say healing the physical body, I started studying massage therapy. I started doing self-care routines, not just to understand my craft better, but just to feel better in general. And I really started, I replaced going out and drinking with self-care. And what I found was every time I would dive deep into some type of physical release, that reawakening of the body, it would tap me into some type of channel or river of memory. And I'm being prompted to share this. There was one time, my friends and I, were taking some psilocybin, and I went into myself. If you take mushrooms, I call it you go through a cycle if you truly go on a trip. And mushrooms have been an amazing teacher for me. Because I have shamanic background, I do believe in plant medicine, but I do believe now more than ever taking them responsibly and with the intention of working through stuff. I know psilocybin is now being used for microdosing to help shift realities, which I think is great. But I do feel, I have certain feelings about that, and I'm not going to go into the depths here. What I am going to talk about is how on this journey, I'll never forget, I dove into my subconscious, and it was almost like those wooden etchings, and I could see myself floating through this river, just like these paintings of old, and I dipped my hand in the river, and every strand I touched was a different memory. It was a different sensation. It was a different feeling. It was like a river of all existence. And that happened to me in high school. And when I had this realization of how energy healing is necessary when it comes to the physical experience and the necessity of working on not only the physical but the energetic to create balance within the physical experience, was when I started working on correcting my scoliosis, my chronic pain, working on my early onsets of Parkinson's. I addressed my diet. I addressed detoxification. I addressed doing physical care, on shifting my physical body. And I knew that energy healing was important because at this point in my life, I had already done training and received guidance through a few different courses. I trained as a angelic Reiki practitioner, a past life healing practitioner as well. I got certified while I lived in New Zealand. I had the joy and the pleasure of working with different Maori healers while I was there. And I met a shaman. I went to a shamanic group and got to work intimately with Stephen Farmer. We joked that two Californian people found each other halfway across the world. It was quite a crazy experience. And I also had done further training in shamanic courses. And at this point, I realized that I was doing all this physical stuff, but I still wasn't having deep emotional resolve. And as I started working with the physical body, and I started implementing proper detoxification processes, I started having these revelations of generational trauma come to my conscious awareness because I was coming out of these somatic holdings that may have been present not just in my life but in other generations prior, because they're finding that epigenetics, which is the study of family genetics, they find that certain traumas, memories, and diseases, and I don't even know if it's diseases, but more so emotional memories, can be held in the body for up to 7 generations, possibly 10. In my experience, it can be even further, and that's something that I experienced when I started working with the energy systems of the body and really figuring out a blueprint to address all of this stuff. But I was in awe of how the physical body acts as a gateway into these energetic experiences. So I knew that energy healing needed to become more of a staple in my life, because even though I was an energy healer, I was not doing it consistently enough. And I'll never forget, during COVID, I went for a run and I twisted my ankle. I stepped on a rock. I was going around the dam in LA. I'm spacing on the name right now. It's where a lot of people love to go. It's some place I would just go for a run. I'd love to just, tootle around with some body of water that was not the beach. Because if you live in LA, you understand that the beach is a trek. It's a commitment. And coming from growing up in Monterey, where the beach was about 5 minutes away, very spoiled, absolutely, 100%. 100%. Going to the dam was the reservoir, the LA reservoir, I believe that's what it's called, was, my quickest body of water I could go to do my little shamanic ceremonies and whatnot, and just be in nature during COVID. And I remember twisting my ankle, and it went, and I happened to fall in front of a chiropractor. And they were so sweet. Some woman took my car, drove me home. Her husband dropped me off, or followed us so he could pick up his wife. And as I was laying in bed, I was like, this is where you need to do energy healing. Because when I've fallen and tripped, there's usually some disconnect between the brain and the body. And it's an emotional one, usually, I've found. And when I was laying there, I found that I was able to heal my ankle, but all this emotional stuff came up around not feeling supported, which is so ironic, because the universe literally was like, you are so supported, girl, even though you fell. Like, look at the help that is around you. It's one of those weird, very intuitive moments, but also it triggered this pain. And I realized that my footing had always been off because I did not feel I received enough support from my family growing up. And I remember having this big experience of crying, and I went off on my dad. He was just calling to ask if I was okay, and I was like, you never supported me growing up. Somatic healing can be amazing, but it also can be a bit volatile if not done properly. And I found this over and over and over again. And I've also heard it talked about in healing communities. I remember I went to a few Kundalini breathwork sessions, and the leader spoke on how you need to be mindful of your energy. You can actually, go into a psychosis. I talked with a client of mine that had gone to a festival. They had an amazing experience, but they felt that they were out of touch. Once they came back, they felt like they were having some type of disconnection. And I feel when we have these big moments of realization, we don't realize that there's a big downward spiral that happens. And there's two reasons why this is. The first one is understanding the frequency of healing. It's very similar to the wavelengths of color. We talk about the chakra system, or people talk about the chakra system. You see that the lower frequency or the lower chakras have a lower vibration. And as you go higher up the scale, it gets lighter and faster. Healing is the same. And what happens is you can get that really big high, and then you're going to drop into a low because you're starting with lower frequencies. And as you begin to heal, you're going to ride that ride. And a lot of people don't know what they're doing. I like using the analogy of surfing. Normally you start with small waves and build your way up, but the sad part is with healing, it's quite opposite. You're starting at the big drop, okay? You're at Santa Cruz. You're about to go all in, and you've never paddled a day in your life. A lot of people take substances, or they'll go to an event, they'll go to a training, they feel great, but then they aren't able to transmute that experience into their waking life. And it seems like, why did I even do that? And it's something that they will chase over and over and over again. And I cannot tell you how often I've seen that. And I've also experienced it in myself. So that's why I asked all these questions of, okay, if people are having these big experiences, is there a way to make this release more gentle? Just gentle. Is there a way to make it less volatile? Is there a way to navigate with it rather than be totally wiped out by the whole experience, which can definitely happen. People definitely experience that when they take plant medicine. People experience that when they go through spiritual awakenings. They can do that with chakra work. They can do it with breath work. They can do it with somatic therapy and healing. And I know for myself, I experienced all of this. And either it would plateau and I'm like, okay, I'm not getting anywhere with this. I need more. Or I found that I had so much energetic disconnection and my energy was bouncing around. I couldn't follow through with the systems that were being offered to me and I tried many different systems, trust me, and I kept coming back to the same problem. I was not getting any resolve, and I found that I was still as reactive. I found that my emotions weren't being moved through, they were just being reactivated again, and I truly wasn't healing. Honestly, in retrospect, there was some healing. It just wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't the end game. And it wasn't until I found a mentor while I lived in Miami that I found one of the answers, one of the key points. And my mentor, she was an energy healer, and she could communicate to angels through paintings. And she would paint, and then she would get that painting, and you would continue to receive that healing, that transference. And that painting, it was also a baseline for the products I've made. I realized you can transfer healing into a specific modality. So I made healing frequencies that have specific healing points and polarity points based around my knowledge of the body, different energy systems, and the use of magnets to depolarize stress. Because what I realized is I was stuck in subconscious holding patterns of stress. And in order to release that stress, I had to clear not just the physical body, but the energetic bodies as well. I realized, oh, there's the chakra system. And while I was working with the chakras, I started to realize that I was tapping into feminine energies. And I started to find that there was different chakras that weren't a part of the traditional 7. And that made me kind of realize, is this traditional 7 in alignment with masculine energy only? Is this only one piece of the puzzle? And while I was working with my mentor, she told me during one of my sessions, oh, your chakra system's upside down. And I sat there and I was like, yo, this is why I've had issues my whole life. I'm trying to adhere to a system that is only one piece of the puzzle. And so when I got that knowledge, it opened me up to this world of understanding the chakra system from a masculine and feminine standpoint. But it also made me realize that these energy systems can be deficient and they can be excessive. And this is due to blockages. And I had studied chakras enough to understand that there are minor chakras. And when I was working on people in person, I found that a lot of their pain points were tied to meridians, and they were also tied to blocked minor chakras. What I found in that realization is everyone's working on the major chakra system. They're not addressing the minor chakras. The minor chakras mirror the drainage pathways of the body. And this is where it's that as above, as below thing. And this is where I realized every energetic system has a drainage pathway system. And when it comes to your physical body, people may want to, do a liver cleanse, clean their gut, do all this stuff, but their drainage pathways are backed up. And having studied the lymphatic system, if these systems are backed up, you're going to flush all these toxins out into your system. They're not going to have anywhere to go. Everything's going to be backed up, and your body's only going to reabsorb all those toxins. The same thing goes for energy systems. If there are blockages in the flow of these systems, in the 3 energetic systems of the meridians, the chakras, and the auric layer, that energy is just going to be reabsorbed. So even though you may have had the realization, you understand where it's coming from, you've healed it, you're stuck in the loop of the victim mentality. And I realized that in clearing these drainage pathways and prepping your body. When you do realign the chakras, when you do work with the major systems, your body is more readily available to handle the electric discharge that comes from healing stagnant energy in the body. So it's crucial that you not only clear out those blockages, but in working with a certain system in a certain order, again, building blocks of the energy system so your body can handle those big emotions that may arise and can arise, because everyone's healing system is different, and also everyone's healing needs will be different, and journey and experiences and whatnot. So my question then was, okay, now that I understand there's a drainage pathway and I understand that there's 2 chakra systems, what is the order that this needs to be done in? And I received the guidance that you need to start from the auric layer and work your way in, because the aura is what extends out into the collective, but it's also where we take on a lot of thought forms that aren't ours. If you are wanting to heal and shift your mindset, you have to separate from the environment that made you sick. And the mental environment that has made us sick is our societal norms. And all of these are tied into emotional thought forms. And in clearing one layer, you're clearing the energetic density that has been shoveled onto you from society, from people, places, and things. So when you clear that, it allows you then to get into your real stuff, really take ownership of what's yours. Because in my biomagnetism class, my teacher taught us that we absorb emotions, and there are emotions that might be yours and there might be someone else's. And this led me on a journey of understanding that there's collective, there's other people that you are in contact with, and then there's yours. It's so crazy how deep all of this goes. And I realized if you want to get into the root issue, you have to address the auric layer, because that's your energetic blueprint. You release the energetic blueprint, you clear that, your physical body has a better chance of actually shifting. Your mind has a chance of shifting into a new way of thinking more positively. You have a better way of working and understanding your body, because the more you clear and the density that you release from your energetic body, your physical body has more of a chance to connect with you. And in working with all of these different energetic systems, as well as working with the physical body and cleansing and clearing the pathogen pairs that are part of that were part of my biomagnetism training, it's so amazing to me to see how emotions are tied into every single aspect of these. And when you address the emotions, your body can start to heal, because that stress is released, those emotions can be cleared, and it's crazy how they can be lodged in every single part of these energetic systems. And when I started clearing and addressing it from the aura, then working in the chakra, and then working in the meridians, the shift that my body did was night and day. It was beyond anything I had experienced, and it was exactly what I'd been looking for. It's what I've been looking for 18 years. And for me, when I found this system, I realized this is what will help people with that wave. Because while you're healing your energy system, emotions are going to come up. And when you listen to, in the energetic blueprint, or the blueprint of light energy healing course I have all these collective emotions in there. And so when emotions come up after you heal, you can scan your body, because I teach you how to scan your body, and it'll tell you, oh, this emotion is what's coming up. Is this emotion connected to me? Somebody else? What is it? And so you get to be curious. You get to communicate with your body. You get to form a relationship, because I found that the body in so many different cultures is the gateway to higher consciousness. But a lot of us have not been taught how. And I also wanted to create something where it was accessible while still being present in modern day and age. Because I feel there are a lot of practices that, even though they're great, are they very accessible and realistic to our evolution? I mean, some would say yes, some would say no. Everyone's on their own journey. But for me, with the demands of running a business, trying to heal, doing all this stuff, creating courses, I needed something that was doable, that wouldn't derail me. And a lot of the other energy healing modalities that I did would derail me. This allowed me to stay in alignment and stay on course, not only with my healing, but my goals. And that is the crucial thing, because a lot of healing does not tell you about the necessity of doing the drainage pathways. They do not talk about how you need to allow yourself time to level out within the frequency healing. And they also don't give you tools to navigate through that. So these courses that I've created, specifically the Blueprint of Light, is the one that teaches you how to cleanse and clear your aura, cleanse and clear and rebalance your chakras in alignment with the masculine and feminine energies. And it provides you with energy healing frequencies. It teaches you how to use magnets, because I understand that my take is one take on some energetic systems that'll probably keep evolving and growing as we as a society keep evolving and growing. And it provides you with energy healing frequencies that are in alignment with all of the collective thought forms, so you can clear those and really clear what isn't yours, but also address what is, so you can heal, so you can take ownership, and so you can truly clear out your energetic system, so you are receiving that guidance from both the masculine, the father, and the mother earth. So you are truly receiving that guidance, because I realize that in doing these healing sessions, you're not only carving out time for your healing, you're carving out time to talk to your body. You're carving out time to listen and learn and connect into these higher states of consciousness, which when you listen to the magnet healing frequencies, it puts you in such a relaxed state that you can actually connect into your higher self with greater ease. If you are like me and you struggled with finding a system that truly worked for you, that truly gave you answers and truly gave you directions, the Blueprint of Light is the course that I would recommend for you. If you're someone who's truly wanting to clear habits that no longer serve you, that you feel you've tried over and over again, but keep being brought back to, and it leaves you with that sense of shame, Blueprint of Light is for you. If you are someone who is wanting to, and when I say habits, it could be an addiction, it could be bad relationship choices, it could be wanting to progress in your business, it could be wanting to physically feel better, it could be your diet, it could be so many different things. But if you have these emotional blockages, they will keep pulling you back, and they will persist in the background, which will hinder you from getting the results that you want from your other practices as well. And it is something that I recommend for the people that are breaking generational trauma, that are moving through the energetic shifts that we're having collectively at this time. And when I say that, I mean you're trying to bring in an entirely new way of being to a society that's kind of stuck in old habits as well. And I found for myself, I was pulled back into a lot of stuff. And when I did my healing work and I went through this program, it allowed me to take ownership. It allowed me to see how I connected in with that. And it allowed me to make a choice of how I didn't want to be a part of it. And the guidance that you receive when you do this energy healing is next level, because that's the other thing I realized as an energy healer. Yeah, I can I can tell you stuff. This is what I'm picking up on. But you're never gonna get the top quality downloads that you need from me. I'm not you. Your body is the highest form of spiritual integration you could get. The human body is the most amazing vehicle, not just for experiencing this life, but experiencing those higher states of consciousness and experiencing, I think, the peace. And I know for myself, I wanted peace, but the peace and being able to come back to that peace and knowing how deeply connected you are into everything. You are not alone. You are divinely connected. And clearing out these blockages allows you to see that. It allows you to experience that, and it allows you to move forward in life with that integrated energetic system. And it's a tool that you can utilize over and over again. And it's such a gift. And I look back on, I'm so grateful that my guides took me on this journey. It was a journey, but it's one that I don't regret. Again, that peace and the fact that it is so readily available and so accessible is what excites me, because when you heal your energetic system, you're not just healing yourself, but you're healing the collective, and you're making it easier for the collective as a whole to make positive shifts away from the toxic habits that have been so prevalent in our society and have created a lot of pain. And I don't know about you, but there's many times I feel hopeless, and I know that the best way to address that is to heal and address yourself first, because then you can show up as your best self. And when you show up your best self, you can give the most. You can be the most present. You can really know what actions are in alignment for you and what will really serve you, because what best serves you is what's going to serve your community on a whole. And that's a powerful gift. And maybe I'm just a little optimist, but I love seeing people spark inside of them. I think it's beautiful. And I know a lot of people, especially in bad relationships, you see people's potential. I want to keep seeing people's potential. I want to keep encouraging people, but I know it's not my job to do the work, but it is my job. And I know, and I took this ownership to create a tool that allows you to step into that potential. And it was definitely a learning experience, because I had to let go and I had to trust that people will do the work. And if I can do it, anyone else can do it. So I hope that it makes sense as why going with a specific blueprint, the specific order in clearing these energy system is going to best support you, because it's going to not only alleviate a lot of the density that you've probably had on your life and hinders you from moving forward. It's going to allow you to depolarize the stress in your body, which will then enable you to move through those big dense emotions with greater ease and really own them and work through them, because once you work through them, they'll leave your body. It's kind of crazy. And once you work through them, you're able to view life from a place of empathy rather than victimhood. You're able to really take ownership, and you then can detach. So many coaches talk about detaching, but they never tell you how. And in releasing the energetic stress in your body, that's how you can detach. But you have to work through it. And this energetic blueprint of light is how you can reprogram that stress. Because for a lot of us, there's so many different layers of where that stress could have come from. And so this course teaches you how to clear it, what order, and how to scan your body. Because as you go through this course, and if you do this course multiple times, what served you and what worked for you one time may be completely different another. That's the biggest thing I learned when I massage people, is I could work on someone's body, do deep tissue the next week, their body needed cranial sacral. Like, the human body is absolutely mind-boggling, and it's such a beautiful thing. You never step in the same river twice, and the same goes for your healing. And that's what I teach you in these courses as well, is how to be versatile, how to be adaptive, and how to understand that there are many different systems that are supporting your physical experience. And when you envelop and develop your energetic systems to hold greater frequency, that means you have greater vitality. And when you have greater vitality and life force, that means you have more energy to do what you want to do the stuff that you were called here to do. And you have the strength, you have the courage, and you have that energetic support from the Divine Mother and Father, which is so healing on so many layers and so many levels. So I hope that clarifies. I hope that inspires. And I'm going to link it below for those of you who, feel called to check it out. Otherwise, thanks for joining me and listening to me rant. I love talking about this stuff. It just, it lights me up. And I want this light for everybody, because I was not like this. And to be this free and to be able to really stand in one's power is such a gift, and something that I know everyone has the capacity to access if they are given the proper tools and the proper direction on how to get there.